Hi everyone, it's me again, where today I'm going to be talking about a recent discovery of mine, and that is the importance of sound. Because in my view, I think that sound is vastly underappreciated by most audiences. Nowadays, in an age of incredible VFX and visual technology, the unseen medium of sound is becoming ever more underappreciated. People can talk about how realistic films and TV shows are, praising the cinematography, acting and costume design, but failing to realise that sound is one of the most crucial parts of building that bridge between reality and the feeling of complete immersion. For me, sound underpins and accentuates every single part of a film. Sound can completely change the meaning and effect of an action, whilst at the same time helping to create and evoke an emotional response. It's also one of those things where you only appreciate it when you don't have it. So to demonstrate this, I'll be showing a few examples. Arguably the most easily recognisable sound used in film history would be that of a Star Wars lightsaber.
An elegant weapon.
I'm going to play this next clip without sound and then with it, just to help you understand. So if you're not familiar with it already, what you've just seen is the final battle from the end of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. In this sequence, our sound is operating on 3 main levels, 2 of which operate in the diegetic domain, meaning that they have an on-screen source. The first is that of our aforementioned lightsabers, which create sound with their movement and turning on and off. Throughout the Star Wars franchise, the sound of a lightsaber being turned on is almost always an indicator of an oncoming conflict or event. This is a key example of sound being used to evoke an audience response, because fans of the franchise know what to expect next. Our second level of sound comes from the voices of our characters.
Oh, yes, Master Luke. Remember that I am fluent in over 6 million forms of
What are you telling them?
Although the apparent lack of it in this scene, there is one very short sound made by Darth Maul. He grunts ever so slightly in response to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan drawing their lightsabers, which suggests to us, the audience, that he is disgruntled, angry and antagonised. Without this sound, it is harder for the viewer to interpret this information. And finally, our third layer of sound is the soundtrack Duel of the Fates by John Williams. This sound is non-diegetic, meaning that it doesn't have an on-screen source, but serves to accentuate an on-screen action. Something you may have noticed is that the pace of the soundtrack directly mirrors the pace of the scene itself. This is a well-used convention of almost every film, and once again of sound being used to reinforce and accentuate what is being shown visually. The death of Qui-Gon Jinn later on in the scene is where these 3 separate layers of sound come together to create an emotional response that resonates with the audience. Our first layer of sound, the lightsabers, is used when the sharp slicing of Darth Maul's lightsaber goes through Qui-Gon's stomach. The second layer of sound, the voices of our characters, is used through Obi-Wan Kenobi, who screams in agony at the death of his master. And finally, our third layer, the soundtrack, ties every layer together using high and low pitches to evoke a sense of realisation for what has just happened, and deep sorrow for the death of a protagonist. For me, one of the best things about sound is that sometimes not having a lot of it can be just as impactful as having lots of it used at the same time. For example, the iconic T-Rex scene from the original Jurassic Park. It's also really useful in dialogue, especially for comedic use.
Mr. Bing, here you are. You'll go into that room and deposit your specimen into the container.
Deposit my specimen. You know, I usually have to call a 900 number for that kind of talk.
Thanks, got it.
I think that there's a really beautiful synergy between visuals and sound, whereby one doesn't work without the other, but when put together they work flawlessly to the point where a normal audience won't even notice it. Film nerds like me, however, can't help but admire it. In conclusion, when you next watch a film, just take into consideration the sound being used, as it has so much more of an impact than you may have originally thought. Hey there guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's a little bit different from what I usually upload, but I think a bit of experimentation is always good. If you guys think I did a good job or you think I missed something out, please let me know down in the comments and I'll be happy to talk about it. But apart from that, I'll see you guys in the next one.